Madam President, this debate is really about one simple question. Are we going to do whatever it takes to get our country through a once-in-a-generation crisis? We did that in March, a year ago, but we haven't done it since. Now is our opportunity. I joined some of my colleagues today at the White House to talk with President Biden about the urgency to get this done, to go big. His plan that will finally start to make real progress against the pandemic and make a real difference in people's lives. The American people made it clear in this election they want a government that's on their side. It's our chance to deliver for them. We know we can. As I said, we did it last spring. We came together across the aisle. We passed the CARES Act. We expanded unemployment insurance. We provided direct stimulus checks. We kept, and this is remarkable, in the midst of a pandemic, 13 million people in this country out of poverty. It gave tens of millions more peace of mind with a bit of a cushion to weather this crisis. Think about that. Congress came together, government did the right thing, 13 million people were prevented from falling into poverty. But then, Madam President, as you know, what happened is because we didn't act in May and June, in July and August, that help started to fall away, and thousands of people every single day in Milwaukee and in Cleveland and around this country, in Racine and in Dayton, thousands of people a day fell into poverty. So my colleagues now say we've done enough. We'll tell that to the 92% of Americans who haven't gotten a vaccine yet. Tell that to the parents who wonder when it will finally be safe for their kids to go back to school. Tell that to the laid-off restaurant worker in Madison, wondering if she'll be able to pay rent and pay the electric bill. Tell that to the bus driver in Columbus, wondering if she's going to lose her job. We're the wealthiest country on earth. Doing the bare minimum simply isn't good enough. Slowly vaccinating people when we know we're facing a new, more contagious virus variant isn't good enough. Letting our economic recovery limp along instead of roaring back isn't good enough. Luckily, we have real leaders who aren't willing to settle for less. President Biden's already doing everything possible to ramp up vaccine production. To get new COVID tests in the market, he promised 1 million vaccines a day for the first 100 days of his presidency. We are exceeding that number. It will help people keep them in their homes. It will help keep workers from losing their jobs. We need to give the president and our leaders in states all over the country every tool we can. Our plan puts money directly in people's pockets with the expanded stimulus checks, with tax cuts for workers and families, through expanded earned income tax credit and child tax credit. As chair of the Banking and Housing Committee, beginning tomorrow, I'm committed to keeping a roof over people's heads, getting lifelines to small businesses, keeping our buses and our subways running, keeping workers in the job, giving President Biden every tool possible through the Defense Production Act to get more vaccines to more people. Our plan will help us dramatically expand American manufacturing. The presiding officer has led this Senate on Buy America. We will do more of that through the Defense Production Act. We will produce vaccines and PPE and more and better tests. We'll help state and local communities prevent layoffs and service cuts. Essential workers, and I heard a grocery store worker in Southwest Ohio told me several months ago, they call me an essential worker, but I feel expendable because they don't pay me enough and they don't protect us on the job. That's got to change. Essential workers need help. They need buses and subways to get to work, in hospitals and grocery stores. We need those transit systems running and running safely. We need to keep bus drivers and construction workers on the job safely. Our plan will get more support to small and minority-owned businesses. We know the biggest corporations have done better than ever during this pandemic. Amazon, Walmart, Comcast, all the big guys are doing just fine. They pretty much always do, no matter what's happening to the rest of the country. They've paid their shareholders. They've done stock buybacks. But we've seen restaurants close in our neighborhoods, some that have been operating for decades. We've watched corner stores and dry cleaners shut their doors. Small businesses hurt. Our plan will not only keep PPP going, it will expand access to capital for the small entrepreneurs fighting for their dreams now. Our plan will keep families from losing their homes and help them pay the bills and keep the heat on and the lights turned on. In December, Madam President, 1 in 10 homeowners reported being behind on their mortgages. For Black, Latino, and Asian homeowners, that number is 1 in 6. 1 of every 5 renters in this country is behind on their rent. For Latino renters, it's 1 in 4. For African American renters, it's 1 in 3. Think about the daily stress that puts on people. They go to work every day. They're not paid enough. They're not sure they're safe at work. They come home anxious about passing this virus on. They have to worry about paying their rent. They have to worry about food for their kids. They've got to worry about whether the schools are open and kids can go there while they're trying to balance their work lives. We've got to do everything we can to alleviate that stress. A moratorium on eviction on evictions and on foreclosures help keep people safe in the short run, but they're simply not enough for all the people who are behind with no way to catch up. Thankfully, we've had moratoriums on evictions. They haven't always worked. They've worked most of the time, but every month that moratorium stops you from being evicted is another month that you owe rent when the time comes. We know that. Economists estimated that renters already owe $57 billion in back rent at the end of January. That's twice the aid we provided for renters in December. So the package that most of us voted for helped a lot in December, but it's clearly not enough. That's why President Biden and the Senate and the House have to go big. How can we let millions of families lose the home they love or get trapped in a downward spiral of debt, all because of a virus far beyond any one person's control? So I asked my colleagues of both parties, just ask them, what do we do? Let's get this done. There's no time for quibbling over Senate procedure. Working families don't care about Senate rules. They care about when they get a vaccine. They care about when their kids go back to school. They care about keeping their jobs. They don't care how we get it done. They care about results. The Senate has used these fast-track budget measures over and over in times far less dire than the ones we face now. Minority Leader McConnell had no problem using these fast-track procedures that they now oppose to pour money into corporations' coffers with their tax cut. In fact, the last time I was at the White House today with President Biden, the last time I was invited to the White House was President Trump inviting a group of us on the tax writing committee to try to sell his big tax giveaway to corporate America and to the richest people in the country. We sat around a table in the president's cabinet room with 2, I believe, of his billionaire cabinet members who benefited handsomely, as did his family from this tax cut. Big giveaway to the largest corporation in the country, big giveaway to billionaires and the richest people in the country, but so little for the economy, so little for workers. So Senator McConnell, whose office, as we know, is just down the hall, you often see lobbyists lining up. Back in tax cutting days with the big tax cut to the rich, you saw lobbyists lined up right out there outside his office waiting to get in to find out what tax break they could get, Madam President. That was then. We used this fast-track procedure to get it done as if it were an emergency. Now it actually is an emergency. We just can't wait and negotiate and take forever to get this help. We didn't, someone came to our Banking Housing Committee and said, before D-Day, we didn't have a meeting they didn't have a meeting in the White House and the Congress think, can we afford this? Can we afford this war? Can we afford equipping our troops at Normandy? Well, of course we could, because we had to win the war. So we were in a global crisis. Now, it's a war. We marshal all of our vast resources and talent to rise to meet it, the global crisis of World War II. Then we grew the economy from middle class out. We paid down the debt with rising wages. Americans elected new leaders now, last November, because they were tired of a president and a majority leader who refused to treat this war against COVID with the same urgency. People are really sick and tired, and all over this country, they're sick and tired in Dayton and Akron and Canton and Mansfield of a president, a president saying, or a majority leader, McConnell, saying, we can't do it, we can't afford it, we've done enough. Well, let's aim higher. Let's deliver for people whom we serve. Let's raise the stimulus checks to $2,000, money that will make a difference for so many families. Let's cut taxes for working families. Let's keep people in their homes. Let's keep small businesses open. Let's give every American a vaccine that will save their lives. That's the decision before the Senate. Do we just say, we can't do very much, we ought to wait a while, let's see if the last thing worked, let's come together, let's pass this, let's, Madam President, make a real difference in the American people's lives.